Hey Papa, I know it's your birthday and I thought I'd do something special for you, especially since you just had your surgery and everybody's glad that it went well. But I decided to write you a poem. It's based off Casey at the Bat, which I'm sure you know. It's the old classic baseball poem. One of my favorite things to read, and I'm sure you like it, seeing as you used to babysit Lou Gehrig and Ty Cobb all the time. But anyway, here goes. It's called Papa on the Tee. The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Russo group that day. The card was filled with crooked numbers with but one hole left to play. A four-way tie was in the works as they approached the 18th sign. With much at stake, they reached the tee, bragging rights on the line. First to hit was Jim, but his drive did find the rough. Then Kevin's slice followed and landed in the fluff. John's shot hooked a bit and settled against a tree. This left just Joe to take his chance to try to best the three. He strode ahead to tees of gold over 30 yards away, and bade his sons to follow to better see his play. They gathered round in silence, their eyes glued down the line, as Papa sized the shot up and took his sweet old time. He swung the club for practice, then swung it the same way. Then he settled in at last and began his takeaway. No man would call it pretty, nor would one call it sweet, as Papa held the driver high and turned his sneakered feet. The club face started open, then swiftly changed to closed, and Papa made a grimace as he finished on his toes. A crack rang out. The Russos gasped and watched the sky of blue, as somehow, someway, the noodle soared. Its path was straight and true. Papa raised his arms in glee, then gave a triumphant shout, as his sons exchanged a fearful glance, one tinged with flecks of doubt. They saw it land and kick ahead, its surface quite reflective, and Papa laughed, then turned and said, "It's ugly but effective." They reached their carts and set off on the last hole of the day, while Papa crowed with mirth and spite, "I believe you're all away." The flag stood tall, the wind was low, they stepped up to hit their second, as 150 yards away the green of emerald beckoned. Behind the tree John hemmed and hawed, then at last he did decide that his only option in this tight spot was to hit it to the side. Jim came next, and with pressure on he tried to hit the green, but the rough did not comply and left him somewhere in between. Kevin followed after, the next to try his luck, but his iron fell just short, and in the sand it became stuck. Then Papa saw his chance and tried to leave himself a putt, but his head went up, the ball was sculled, and Papa yelled, "You slut!" No man had seized the day, at least until this point, but the golf gods often wait to find a hacker to anoint. John's third flew true and hit the green, his hopes were still a glimmer, but when Jim's pitch rolled within 5 feet, those fleeting hopes grew dimmer. Kevin blasted from the sand with precious little room to dance, and the 2-foot putt he left himself gave him more than just a chance. From just off the green, Papa watched, sighed, and shook his head, for he knew his hopes for victory were extremely close to dead. He lined it up and paced around and switched his club 3 times, and wondered if this predicament was a payback for past crimes. He chose the 8 to bump and run, but hit it a tad thin, but against all odds the ball slowed down and fell against the pin. A groan arose from the Russo boys, the air gone from their sails, while dancing Papa claimed his crown as the champ of the Russo males. Let it always be known when it mattered most that Papa passed the test, and let it never be forgotten that Papa is the best. Happy birthday, Papa. We love you.